Hello everyone, welcome back to Captain Aviation. Hopefully you're doing well today. I'd just like to start the video off by thanking you tremendously for your support and your very big support that you've been giving me over the last couple of videos. Really appreciated. Many comments, many appreciations, and I'd really like to thank you for that. So today we're going to be speaking about the PPL, so the Private Pilot License Flight Training course, what it would consist of, and some details that I think are important for you to know before you start your training, and some of the aspects that you will be going into during your training. So many maneuvers, procedures, and just general tips that can be useful to you as long as what your instructors are saying. So I do have the book here with me, and I'll be going through this, which is a flight training. You might have seen it in the thumbnail as well. And I will be going through this. Obviously, you can buy it, and I'll put the link in the description down below. And guys, before we start, please remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment. It's obviously always appreciated when you do so, and it supports the channel as well. Remember to also click the notification bell so you never miss out on a video. Now, enjoy. So, with this, the book, and I'll put it in the description down below in the box, so you can buy it. This is not the updated version. This, let me check, this should be the edition of 15th edition, June 2021. The one now should be 2024, I'm not sure, I haven't checked, but usually they do update every year, as they've done in this one. So I'm going to go through the contents page and what will be required for your skill test. So let's go for the first one, and your training as well, obviously. So you're gonna start by preparing your flight, and you're going to be doing the outside check. So it's called the pre-flight check, and it will consist of you getting round the aircraft, obviously following the checklist, whatever your checklist flight school has, and you'll be going through some, basically, they're not procedures, but some checks of the aircraft, so the oil, the fuel, and you'll get the fuel stick as well. You'll do the drain, so the fuel drain, and checking if the fuel is, let's say, healthy for you to fly with. So you'll be checking for any dirt, if the colours, the smells as it should be, and every sort of aspect that you need for a good check to be. Then you'll be doing the port and the starboard, going through the port, which is the side of the aircraft, and the starboard, which is the other side of the aircraft. And you'll be going around the checks, checking the landing gear, checking the instruction panels, and you'll be doing some of the other checks that will be required for you to know, and they will obviously be listed in the checklist. It's really important, don't try to skip over that, because it's essential for a good flight, and obviously checking the ailerons, the trim, and the elevators, and you'll be doing that as well. And obviously your instructor will go through it, but the importance obviously is to check the landing lights as well, the lights, any lights, the flaps are going down, get the master switch on, checking all the circuit breakers are on, all of that stuff that's required for a good safe flight. Then you'll be going through the controls, so the primary effects, secondary effects, the arts of trimming, the carb heat, which is important that you need, especially when descending. Using the radio, which is obviously a key fact, and checking if it works or not, especially when you get radio failure. You want to be comfortable with how to use the radio. Cabin heating and ventilation. Okay, so one of the things, obviously, it might bring you, cabin heat might bring you the carbon dioxide, monoxide, sorry, on the aircraft. Okay, so you'd have to know how to get rid of that, and obviously you will have a carbon monoxide tester, and it will turn from orange to completely black, and obviously you should see that if you have it in your aircraft, if you do happen to have a carbon monoxide in the presence in the aircraft. Then you'll be learning how to taxi an airplane, okay, so with the rudders, and keeping the control column forward, okay, so but close to you, in case you have grass, okay, so if your airdrome has grass, then you don't want to go into any stones. If your if your elevator is pushed down, then you would probably hit into any stones, the propeller would hit, and it would not be good for the flight school and for yourself. Then you're going through the straight and level, okay, so how to keep the airplane straight and level. So here it says with cruising, with flap descent, so there are various configurations. So this one's cruising with flaps extended, so 10, 20, 30. Then you'll be going from flying straight and level in balance, okay, at constant power, then at a selected airspeed. Okay, so various configurations that will be tested with you, obviously naturally as you get onto the skill test, but obviously not as natural when you do start the first times. Then you'll be learning about climbing, okay, climbing and descending, climbing turns as well, and climbing and descending in general, obviously descending with the carb heat. Various types of descending, so a cruise descent, which you could do, and obviously things that could be tested in your skill test as well. Turning, so medium level turns, you'll be doing climbing turn, as I said earlier, descending turns, turning on selected heading, so they make you turn probably to 300 heading, depends. Stalling and slow flight, obviously I've got the list here, guys, so you can go through obviously with your one, but obviously this is just a brief explanation of what will be shown in in your training. Stalling and slow flight. Okay, so you're going to stall. Slow flight is basically 60 knots airspeed, and you'll be going. Your aircraft will be probably, I'm not sure, like this, and you can be used if you have an aircraft in front of you and you have to slow down, but you're still maintaining your heading and your altitude. Okay, so that's what's used, and you obviously do it with power. If you remove the power, it will become a stalling. And obviously you can stall with your power as well, but obviously the attitude and the angle of attack will be higher as well. Spinning, not included in the syllabus, I don't think. I think they removed it. Standard, then you'll be learning about the standard takeoff and climb. Standard takeoff and climb to downward legs, so your circuits as well. You'll be doing various circuits, landings and procedures with your instructors required for flight training. So you're going to learn about the go around, normal standard procedure for PPL. It's normal. Obviously, if you do have an aircraft on the runway and you're about to land, you would have to go around, probably mainly on the dead side. So the circuit pattern that isn't used, so the opposite one. So if you have you're on 2-4 right, for example, you would have to stay towards the 2-4 left unless you have any prohibited areas or any noise abatement areas that wouldn't allow you to be on that dead side of the aerodrome of the second pattern. Then you would learn about the flapless approach, the glide approach, so with no power. Try to maintain your circuit height for that one because it is tricky, and obviously you can be at low power, you can be at low height when you do have a glide approach because you've started at, I don't know, let's say the circuit height, circuit altitude is 1,000 feet with a QNH. You're going to be at 800, and the power cuts, then obviously it's not... and the power goes to idle because your instructor puts it to idle. You'd have to know that you'd have to keep your 65 knots, for example, on a Cessna 152, so your glide speed, and you'd probably not get to the runway on time unless you do some turns and any other procedures that would make you land. But 800 usually is a bit low if you have to get... if you have a glide speed approach. The other one is a flapless, so with no flaps you'd often tend to be a bit faster than you usually are on a normal landing, so do make sure that you do some S-turns, a slide slip as well. Some do it, so opposite aileron into the wind and opposite rudder. Obviously that would work as well to make you slow down and obviously get to a normal approach in your landing speed or on your landing let's say landing approach. Okay, let's put it that way. Then you're going to be learning about your first solo. Okay, so we do have other circuit approaches, but those ones, so the flapless glide and the normal, are the basic ones that you would require for the skills test. You'd have to go for your crosswind operations, bad weather, so not at 1,000, but let's say 700. Okay, so let's say the feet ceiling is 1,000 and something, 1,001. You'd have to stay just slightly lower for you to not get into the clouds during a circuit pattern, which is not, wouldn't advise to do that. Don't do that. But staying at 1000, just stay with your circuit height and just a bit below when it's bad weather. That's called a bad weather circuit. Then a short field. Okay, so if a short field, you'd have to learn to land as close as possible to the landing on the landing runway, and obviously with slightly low power than you would usually have in order to brake efficiently and brake to be not at the end of the runway or overtake the runway basically, and get on a nice braking attitude and just simply brake. So for example, let's say, I don't want to waffle here, but let's say your runway is 800 and the short field is 600, okay, but you're used to landing on 800, you'd have to land earlier on this 600 meter runway with less speed in order to not go past the runway threshold, the runway distance, okay, so the takeoff distance available that we'll be learning on the other videos that I could do, or the other just on the AIP on the NATS website, wherever you find your distance for your aerodrome, you'll find it there. Then you'll be learning about the soft field, okay, so you'd have to learn that you would take, let's say, just a bit of the nose up, okay, let's say a soft field in this case is a grass or a normal grass, but a bit, or it's just soft. You would keep your nose slightly up compared to a normal takeoff to not get mud or to not get stuck. That's, I think, some of the reasons that they do it, but do practice it, and obviously you will practice it with your instructor. Then you're going to go off to the forced landings without power and precautionary landing, so ditching. Obviously, if the engine fails, you're going to aviate, navigate, communicate. Remember that. So aviate, you're going to look for your glide speed, know your glide speed obviously in advance, and your instructor will tell you, obviously. You do many practices on that. So your glide speed for a 65, and then you're going to navigate, so look for field around you, look for surrounding areas, many other factors that you need to know for your forced landings. So yeah, as we said, surrounding areas, not look for power lines, okay, and look, you have a good shape of the field, gotta have a good size of the field. You'd have to look at other factors such as the slope, see less than flat slope, surrounding areas, I said, and just out of built up areas, for example, many of the other things that will be required for you to know, and not just go on a random field. Obviously, if it's just one field around you, then aim for that one. But if you have many fields, then obviously you have to be judged for the good one and not for the bad one. And obviously in a good case scenario where you do have many fields available, search for the good field with these various factors. Pilot navigation, like the topic, okay, so you're going to use your chart, and you're going to learn how to divert. That's going to be used in your skill test. You're going to be learning, so A to B and half of B, you see that you have some clouds or bad weather and you can't get to B, you're going to be instructed, or you have to divert to another airfield. Possibly you'd have to divert and land in a field, okay, or just maybe, let's say, 90 degrees to your track from A to B is looking good, you just divert and go to another location, and obviously probably turn around it, depends whatever your diversion is. Then I'm going to go from instrument flying, okay, so you're going to be learning with a hood. You've probably seen it in some videos, and you've got a hood where you can only see your instruments and not outside, and your instructor will put you in some various situations in your aircraft. So for example, turning, and you have to put it in a straight and level. You'd have to put it in a straight and level, and very other situations. This is learnt when you do some, let's say you're flying in clouds, you'd have to learn how to do that, how to fly in an instrument, any instrument conditions, okay? So, but obviously, if you're PPL, you wouldn't fly it, but just in case, you know how to do it. So, guys, this is the end of the syllabus. Just a very quick and explanation, a short explanation. Sorry for the waffle. I do waffle sometimes, even though I know I shouldn't, but just to get the right words and the right, let's say just the right words. That's what happens when I try to find the right words. I tend to waffle a bit to find them. So this is the book and flying training. Go buy it up in the description down below. I hope you enjoy it. Hope your flying training goes well. Never give up. Remember, don't give up. Always go for the road that's best for you. That's the book. Let's check if you've got an updated version. This is the June 2021. So I don't know if there's any other updates. But anyway, I'll let you know. Thank you guys for watching as always. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you.